All right, folks, it's Saturday afternoon. Once again, we're going to be rolling last week's post game into this week's pregame in one video. So, Washington Huskies start their season 3-0 with a big win last week over the Fresno State Bulldogs. Completely expected, completely anticipated. So, there's not a lot to really talk about here because, again, it's hard to learn that much from a game like this. But we played really well. Jake Browning was almost perfect out there, and he was pulled early in the third quarter because we were winning, I think, by at that point, 5 touchdowns or something like that. Maybe it was even more than that. And while he was in there, he was pretty much perfect. Myles Gaskin, again, he's not getting the kind of volume that I expected this year. And the Husky running game as a whole is not doing nearly as well as I would have anticipated this year. But offensively, you cannot possibly complain after your team basically scores every time they get the ball in the first half and only falls off after they bench some of their starters. So offensively, pretty much a perfect first half, and the second half barely counts because we benched so many players. Defensively, pretty much shut Fresno State down. They played 2 different quarterbacks in this game, basically in equal amount of time. Neither guy was very effective. We forced a turnover. We shut down the running game. Just very little to complain about on either side of the ball from last week. Special teams, we got another special teams touchdown, so we continued to win the special teams battle. And to put it quite simply, you couldn't have asked for a much better start to the season for the Huskies as they cut through their cupcake first 3 games. The things that need to be improved, obviously the running game. We have one of the worst running games in the country right now in terms of total yards. I believe our running game has mostly been effective, but we have not had the opportunity to really exert our will over these teams that we're playing. So when the schedule gets tough, and the schedule does start to get a little tougher this week, and it's going to get much tougher later, we need to be able to exert our will running the ball, and the team that I've seen over the first 3 weeks hasn't really done that. I know we have the talent to do it in terms of running back, and I believe we have the talent to do it in terms of the offensive line play, but they need to actually put it on film that they can do it, and maybe today's the day where we see that. So, great win. Most of the stuff in this game that was ugly on the part of the Washington Huskies, like the fumble, the 3-and-outs, came after KJ Carter-Samuels came into the game. So I'm not sweating any of that. This week, Colorado, first inter-conference game, first semi-tough game of the year. Colorado is not bad. Colorado looks like they're going to be a pretty good team this year. They're undefeated too. Their undefeated means less than ours, maybe, but they are undefeated, and they can do some stuff. They've had a more efficient, effective running attack than us so far this year. Excuse me. And they're the first team we played this year that you would give any kind of chance of beating us. So we get serious starting tonight. Now, you would still certainly expect to win. You would expect to beat a team like Colorado. They are a pretty good Pac-12 team, but they're not one of the best Pac-12 teams. So even going on the road into Colorado, you would expect to win. But we have encountered a few obstacles this week. 3 regular players for the Huskies, most namely safety Taylor Murphy, are going to be missing this game. Taylor Murphy is actually going to miss half the season, which really sucks because he was off to a great start this year. So a secondary that is already a little bit challenged, I would say, because they lost guys like Kevin King and Budda Baker to the pros, are now faced with an even bigger challenge this year. So you're certainly going to keep an eye on the secondary this week. Who's going to step up? Who's going to play big? Who's going to make plays? Who's just going to do their job? Because right now, that secondary has to be a concerning area. So far this year, they played really well. Our pass defense this year has been mostly fine, but The challenges are about to get real, and that's one thing that I'm really going to be watching tonight. And one thing that could really help make things better would be an improved pass rush. Our pass rush has been fine this year. It has not been dominant. It's time for those guys to step up. Guys in the front seven, Vita Vey, Azim Victor. We need to start seeing more from those guys. We've lost some really good pass rushers over the past couple years to the pro game, but it's time that somebody step up and replace those guys. And other than that, like I said, the running game, we need to start seeing a more dominant running game from these Huskies. I believe in Myles Gaskin. I believe in this offensive line. They just need to go out there and do it. And so far this year, they have not done it. So, expecting a win tonight on the road in Colorado, expecting a good start to our Pac-12 conference play, but it's not going to be easy, and there are some things that we need to keep an eye on and need to continue to seek improvement on. All right, game starts in about 4.5 hours. Should be a pretty good time over in Colorado. See you guys probably sometime next week.